welcome to the podcast. This is a living library of resiliency where we have creative conversations. It's a journey involving discussions to process resiliency, a conversation of discovery and healing, creative pathfinding tips and talks among friends to open ears and eyes. We hope to find many new stories to share through the living library. I'm your host, Rhiannon. I am a self-taught artist, an experienced social worker and crisis counselor, a community-minded wellness program developer, and a psychology student. You can find my artist portfolio on my website, bewhimsy.ca. Join me with special guest co-hosts and guests as we share stories and exchange energy in mutual respect with individuals from all walks of life. My special guest co-host for this episode is Tanya Hendriks. In 2016, Tanya underwent a radical transformation and reinvention. Hamilton was a soft place to land, and she's been living and working in the city they call the Hammer ever since. She identifies as queer femme and uses the pronouns she, her, hers. Tanya graduated from Sheraton College's Fine Arts program in the 90s, and despite her day job, manages to carve out time to be creative. She worked in a variety of mediums, from sculpting to metalwork, photography to mixed media and collage. She is mainly interested in investigating identity, change, and belonging. All facets of the arts fascinate and delight her: music, theater, and dance. She has a fierce respect and admiration for slam poetry and would one day like to try stand-up comedy. Her favorite traits are curiosity and perseverance, peppered with a sense of humor. She's a voracious reader and likes to visit art galleries, preferably solo so she can linger unencumbered. And she also races dragon boats, plays pickleball, and loves dodgeball. Yes, it's a thing. Episode 18. I'm Still Here. Heather has always dipped into creative outlets like writing, drawing, and performing, and says these activities increase her contentment and ability to cope day to day. As an emerging artist, she hosts her first solo exhibit in May 2022. Her show is titled Suspended Logic. She is coordinating an event for her presentation that is kink inclusive and highlights sexual liberation, pandemic processing, and concepts of isolation and human contact. We discuss things she wishes she had known about becoming a professional artist, such as the relentless necessity of self-promotion and pricing commissions and art for sale. She finds inspiration in local women artists who continue to produce new and exciting work, the physical hardship of Canadian artist Maud Lewis, the homelessness, addictions, those struggling, underdogs, victims, survivors, and broken people. Heather can relate to struggling. After years of severe and chronic alcoholism, now 18 years sober, Heather knows more about why her life path led her to alcoholism and self-destructive behaviors. Heather began drinking at the age of 11 and became dependent on it by 16. This behavior led to losing her place in a political studies program and being charged with careless driving in her 20s. She lived in a pattern of humiliation and had lost connections with meaningful relationships for many years. She says alcohol had been there to entomb and avoid facing her childhood sexual trauma. We tend to think of AA or rehab programs when we think of alcoholism and recovery, but in Heather's case, her all-or-nothing way of thinking steered her towards taking recovery into her own hands. She was armed with a makeshift withdrawal kit of drugstore items, spent 3 weeks in her apartment alone, and never looked back. She shares the story of the unadorned bathroom floor and her self-guided withdrawal experience that turned into the beginning of rescuing herself and reclaiming her life.
I'll jump into the pool and then go, oh, oh,
Right.
or not jump at all or nothing. So the reminder is to develop and see an idea through start to finish is very
It's important.
new to me.
It's important, but it can be hard when you have attention issues, right? Or like even your background is full of trauma too. And you are, 30 years? You said 30 years sober?
Oh, no, I'm coming up on what?
It's 18.
I'm coming up on
18. Sorry,
years.
I aged you.
No, that's quite all right. I'm coming up on 18 years of sobriety from alcohol.
Right.
And hell yeah.
So seeing things through to the end, you kind of had a late start in kind of conceptualizing what that would look like for you.
Yeah, I guess I'm realizing that the first maybe 30 years of life was survival practices. And then now with a really well-rounded support team, I'm creating space in between hypervigilance and regular. So some emotional regulation and all of those things. But goddamn, like it's hard. Like I'm tired. And I think people get
exhausting.
mad. Yeah. So some people recently have been giving me some guff, which I think is normal. When a light shines bright, there's always the poo-pooers.
And your light does shine bright. It does. I'll tell you.
Thank you. Because it's me. I'm just me, and I like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been told I'm hot and cold, and I'm an acquired taste, and I'm too much, and too this and too that. And I used to, maybe even as little as like 2 years ago, those words would have sent me spiraling into an emotional cry fest of worthlessness. And COVID helped me realize that no matter what I put out into the ether, once it's there, my job pretty much is done, and that I cannot control how anything will be interpreted, received, understood. Great. If you want to have a dialogue about an idea that I've shared, that's great. But so it's been a really nice detachment.
It's been nice for people who needed that time to really sort themselves out, I think.
Yeah, without the pressures. It was like finally society was living the same way that I lived. People feeling a little overwhelmed, people needing a little bit of personal space in the grocery line, people wanting for maybe some perceived germ protection that a mask might have afforded. So all of these I'm going to throw out the term of like neurodivergent thinkers, people who fall on the ASD, autism spectrum disorder, that whole umbrella, all of those people that think outside the box. You know, we've been coping with like external stimuli our whole lives, and only now are we putting really nice labels to it, and we're making oh my God. So I used to be a special needs educator. I was with the DSBN for about 12 years. And back in the day, kids with autism who were labeled as autistic, we would call them like severe or crazy. But I'm glad the language is changing. But we used to put books in kids' backpacks to weigh them down, to give them the kinesthetic response on the muscles to stop the flailing. Now we call it a weighted blanket, and we sell it at Walmart for $89.99.
And everybody owns one,
and everybody's got one.
It's amazing how quickly that changed, right? And it's like, you know, you wish that had been around when we were teenagers. For God's sakes, like my son is a teenager now, and I'm just like so happy he can be open with how he feels and thinks and comes to me with like these profound thoughts.
Are they teaching, like, what's different in your son's peer group that is is it the educators that are opening the dialogue?
It
like,
is. It's partially that, but it's also that they have to be trained in certain things too, and they have rules that they have to follow as far as language and what they teach and curriculums. For instance, like Indigenous teaching, right? When I was in school, that was a chapter, and it was a wrong information.
Yeah,
right?
I took my niece and nephew to a powwow and started talking to them. This was about 3-4 years ago, well before the pandemic, talking to them about residential schools. They looked at me as if I had 3 heads.
And the amount of trauma,
heard anything,
right?
And they're teenagers. They have not learned anything.
Yeah, but like the trauma's talked about in schools about that now, instead of these were Plains people and these, you know, like instead of that over. So it's the same thing, like LGBTQ is talked about completely differently in schools now. Bullying is talked about completely. One time he jokes with me all the time, and I said something to me. He goes, Mom, I said, well, don't wear that shirt to school. It's all wrinkly and dirty. He goes, Mom, it's a zero bully zone. I went, so you're going to wear a dirty wrinkled shirt because this is it? He's like, I can wear whatever I want. I went, whoa. Because as teenagers, come on, like we can all admit, like how long did you take honing your style and what you were wearing and how you did your hair and what kind of like, you know what I mean? And he's just comfortable. Like, I'm not saying, well, maybe he's a bit of a dirtbag too, but.
But is that a male thing? Like, was it more the girls that were interested in, like, I was in a convent for 4 years.
Okay.
So you wore a uniform. And and it was so simple that way.
I think guys.
And then you competed basically on,
headbands and shoes.
No, you weren't even allowed that.
No?
No, it was very, very strict, right? So now it became really an issue of who you are as a person, how clever you are. Those more interior ideas were important, not, what are you wearing?
Yeah. I think, like, just to touch your question briefly, I think men and boys are just as concerned about their appearance, only they couldn't show it. But maybe there are like another subgroup too that just don't care and they roll out of bed. And that's the type of person they are.
It's the rainbow. It's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
All the things exist.
Yeah.
Right.
My friend has a 12-year-old daughter who was happy for uniforms because it saved her morning prep time and stress because they couldn't afford the name brands.
Exactly,
so it eliminated classism right off the top, which was amazing. Girls and boys, but where it snuck in is, well, what eyeliner are you wearing? Oh, it's not Sephora. It's Shoppers. It's not MAC. So there's even these.
They'll find a way.
But the men, the young men, I dialogue actually with a young male. We have a platonic on Instagram relationship through art, and so I'm constantly asking him for a young male perspective, particularly as I'm expanding into erotic art, of which I brought one today to show you guys.
Yeah, I pulled one up earlier.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about that piece? Do you want me to talk about that piece, Rhiannon?
I really like this piece, and this is different from anything. I've been following you for a long time. I remember when I first came across you, it was just like a random, you must have hashtag Niagara Falls or something, and I just remember I commented. I was like, wow, this is really cool, because I hadn't seen anything like your art before, but this is like an evolution.
Thank you. I'm going to receive that word really nicely. That makes my heart.
That's good.
Sometimes my brain is not able to access measurable growth. And through friends who have partaken in not cognitive therapy, but an extension of that, DBT, dialectic behavioral, I realized that my brain, no matter how you could say to me, Heather, your work is gorgeous and I love it. And my brain won't accept that as fact because I don't have measurable evidence. So what I'm learning is your words, Rhiannon, right now mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to do now is when I go home, I'm going to write down that two people. The fact is, I was invited to a podcast that I respect in order to speak about my work. That's a fact. I can't negate that. And nobody would have asked me to do that if there wasn't value there. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to look at that fact. I'm going to take that inventory and use that because my brain makes peace with that a little easier.
So it'll take just a little bit longer.
Well, it's fact-based, not emotion-based. My brain feels much more grounded in, I can't argue it as much. I could argue a compliment. How many of us, particularly women, I would think, oh my gosh, Tanya, you look beautiful today. Oh, bitch, you just saying that because... So we will attempt to tear it down at every turn. And I don't want to do that to myself anymore. It hurts me. It hurts my spirit. It hinders my growth. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is look at it from a different perspective. I respect Rhiannon Barry and her work. I respect what she's doing in the community. So if I'm putting stock in her and her program and she invited me, I guess that means something. So it's great. So this piece in particular is an evolution. Absolutely. This piece came out of nowhere. well, it didn't come out of nowhere. Actually, what it came from is, if you can look on the picture, you're going to see a nipple, breasts. Those breasts are hanging above my bed in a piece of work that I acquired many years ago. And I had to start with the part of my body that I love. And quite frankly, I adore my itty bitty titties.
I love hearing that, because most women are so hypercritical of their bodies. What a joy to hear you say that.
I love
Heather.
it. I love them for
good
so many
you.
reasons.
Good
Number
for
one,
you.
I can show up braless and nobody's the wiser. Number two, I could buy like sports bras at Walmart in the kids section for like six
my
bras for like
God.
10. But also, so coming into my 44th year as a single cis female identifying as pansexual, and never affording myself permission to explore both my sexuality, my relationship with cannabis as medicine and exploration, and then artistic exploration. Type A personalities, perfectionists, hypercritical, traumatic people we draw a flower and then we
Make it perfect and draw until you ruin it.
And you ruin, exactly, right? And this, I never expected anyone to see this. This was drawn for me, by me, to me. You can see that I'm dripping from my vagina. I'm experiencing guilt-free orgasm. I'm smoking cannabis that I've grown in my dream as I'm trying to manifest a garden, because I live in a very unsafe area right now.
We can get into that. I want to talk about that.
Yeah. So, and what, it's so weird as artists, we never know what's going to resonate and what will not. So this piece has sold. I did not.
Did you make prints?
No.
You should.
No, I should not.
No?
No.
You just sell it and that's
It depends on what it is.
Oh, okay.
This piece has no earthly business being in the hands
Of
anybody else except for the person who bought it. And
Got it.
that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I love
Now,
that.
this,
You can make
I
prints.
got mass prints.
See this
There's
one.
2 in there. Feel free to pull them out there. But some things I feel I want in the hands of many, and some things I do not. And that's a piece by
That's
piece
too personal.
decision. Yeah. So, and the print game's tough. We were talking about that in terms of
expensive.
things I wish I'd known as I chose to become an artist. I think that was
Yeah.
one of the questions that I had answered, and I never. One of the reasons why I'm really happy that you're in my life now, Rhiannon, is that I really value your experience of wearing the business hat in terms of art marketing and community resonance, and so I'm learning from you.
Oh, that's good. That's what it's all about.
What it looks like, how you finish it, what buttons you click, things like this, different hats.
So for me, I really, really hesitated doing prints, and everybody who's like a professional or, a classically taught artist is like, you need prints. And, oh, there's another one behind it. Cool. And I was just like, I don't want to spend all my money, because I go into galleries, I go to fairs, and I see these packages of prints just lined up in piles. Like I went to Manitoulin last summer, and I went to this beautiful gallery, and there was $1 million art in there. And like I was considering buying a $10,000 piece. I'm like, what? When I made myself walk out of there, I went, what was I thinking? But it was so beautiful in there. But he had prints from like 1994 still.
This is the classic moral divide that I have in my spirit. And if I may share a quick story that illustrates kind of this art philosophy that I carry. The fact that you went into a space, something moved you so much, you were prepared to assign a huge dollar value to that. But because you didn't have the currency of money, you walked out empty-handed. I have a problem with that.
I had at the time some investment money that I was considering using for that piece. Mm-hmm. But I weighed the options in my mind. I was in there for about an hour and a half. And I was seriously, like, now that I think about it, I'm like, what was I thinking?
And never once for a
moved
moment
by
did
the
you
art,
think,
though.
I bet
You wanted it.
you never thought that's not worth.
No.
You honored its worth.
I did.
But it was the currency that kept you from bringing it home. So I attended a workshop the other night, and a friend reached out to me. I had posted a doodle of wild boar and turtle.
Yeah.
And she said, is it done? Is it for sale? How much is it? Now I know this person is of the same income bracket as myself, which is neither here nor there. She called me and I said, what we're going to do is, you've heard pay what you can. Mm-hmm. I will not sleep. There it is.
I like that.
That's the one. So when the person called and said, I need to have that, there was no, am I allowed to swear?
Yep.
There's no fucking way I'm going to not make sure that gets into the hands of the woman. I'm not going to let currency get in the way. Mm-hmm. So, pay what you can. I'm open to barter. Because money is just a currency we all decided we need. I don't need it. I need it, but I don't.
I love the idea that you're trying to connect this work that's so personal to you with the end user who's going to love it. That it's not a cash transaction. It's about the art.
Yeah, and I want the cash. Don't get me wrong. Like on this print, I'd love to make $100, $10 a print. Yeah, I have rent and I want to eat as well. But I'm not going to stop art from being sold because of money. Yeah. If you can come at me and say, wow, I can feed you for 6 days, you want to, I'm open to that.
There is so many perspectives on this, right? Like, I know people who are like, well, I can't sell anything because collectors have paid $2,000 for my art. It's in their collection. So if I sell one for $500 now, what are these collectors going to say? So it comes from all different sides.
And that also has merit because we are in a moneyed game. I did go to a higher end gallery and was very much informed that what I was bringing to the table was absolutely nothing like what they were.
I've received a rejection letter that said, and I quote, I don't think any of my patrons would like your art or anyone in the Niagara region.
Oh,
period.
Rhiannon,
and I immediately called Steve and was like, is this normal? And he's like,
cry?
No, that's
Did
not.
You?
I got all hot.
That's kind of mean.
And then I was
really?
like, who is this and who's behind this comment?
Yep.
And what else is going on? What
There's
have they
so
heard about
other
me?
ways
Like,
to phrase that.
And how
or
does
is
that
it
help
just
you
how
grow?
they are? But anyway, I immediately called Steve and I was like, is this normal? He's like, no.
Yeah.
Not normal.
Yeah. I was told at a gallery to my face, I was holding my pieces and I was told, put that away. It's giving me a headache. It looks like dollar store wrapping paper.
Oh no.
No one will ever buy this. But the curator prior,
mean.
it was mean.
That's so mean-spirited.
And it was my very first.
So hello, this happened.
Well, then, you know what? Good for you for not taking that as complete rejection, running away and leaving art.
I had to process that.
That would have been
because she was
terrifying.
an evil bitch.
I needed to reach out to somebody in order to process that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tanya, I don't know anything about you. Can you please?
Can I introduce how we met?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. We're pandemic buddies.
Yeah.
Through the
So-
pandemic.
During the pandemic, I started an online sort of accountability artist exchange called Creative Conversations Pen Pals Project.
Yes.
Tanya signed up, and her pieces, like she actually did a really amazing piece. And when we did the exhibit all together in the artist chat, everybody loved it. It was of her. And you were naked, but she had
portrait.
She had done this from behind, but like her foot and everything. Just the placement of everything blew my mind. I loved
the
it.
interesting part is here. I'll pull one up for you. Oh, you must have it there, right?
I'll try to find it.
Yeah, and that was really interesting. That the most interesting part of my nude was my foot.
What do you make of that? You're like, damn.
I don't know. My sister once dated a guy with a foot fetish. It was very.
But it was
very
all of
fun.
us. It was a collective foot fetish.
I know. It's so bizarre. I loved this project and I embarked upon it because really I've lost all of my art and creativity.
Do you remember which round it was?
Very first one, I think.
How did you lose it, Tanya? What do you mean?
Just, you know what? Life took it away from me. Like I had started as a figurative painter and, sold a number of works, but I wasn't at the point where I wanted to be. So
may I ask where you wanted to be that you didn't?
I wanted to be, I don't know. I don't know how big I wanted to be, but I wanted to be able to maybe make more of a living And that wasn't really happening. And I had children at the time, and I was going through a lot of personal changes and turmoil. So I ended up taking a day job, and that kind of sucked everything out of me, right? And I went through a
it's
big...
the first one that I don't have on here.
I have it here. I will
That's
take it
hilarious.
up for you.
So you
So
had to
this
pay the
project-
bills.
Well, a number of different things, right? I didn't really buy into my talent. I really didn't think I had it. I was fascinated with art. I think that I was a better artist before I went to school, which is what I was told, that I was more intuitive.
That's my fear of taking art classes.
Yeah, and there might have been a point to it. Hard to say, but at the end of the day, I didn't really buy into my talent. I know I love art. It's kind of like music is for me as well. I have no musical skill, but I'm the biggest fan. So I go to shows and I buy the music because somebody's got to be the fangirl. So that's kind of what I considered myself. So I went through this massive change about 5 years ago, a brutal separation. Everything was turned on end, and I really needed something. And right when the pandemic hit, I saw on Facebook your project, and I thought, oh, this is fascinating. What a great way to kickstart my creativity. And I really felt I had lost a lot of my intuition, that I had made so many bad decisions that I thought, you're a terrible people gauger, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just like your compass maybe was a little off.
Character was off, my intuition was off. So I embarked on this project. It was brilliant. It was life-changing. It was so fun.
And it's evolved since then too.
I
See,
know.
because I've been
It's
wanting, I've been
amazing.
hesitant. I've been
If
seeing
you
it since day
haven't
one.
done it, you have to do it.
Well,
You
I'm
have
coming
to
into
try
it, Tanya. As
You
I'm
have to
seeing,
try it.
right?
It's
Like,
so
I gotta
good.
get comfortable.
I'm just amazed at some of the stuff that comes in.
It was, and in
Yeah.
such a short frame of time.
So good.
This
Such a great
this
idea.
idea
This is Steve
of
from-
going back and
he's
forth
good.
with your pen pal artist and seeing what they're creating and how it inspires you to create your next piece.
And it's
That's
very
awesome.
frustrating
So
along
fun.
the way. And I do get, like, some rounds I get endless messages from people. I don't know where my partner is, or I don't know what to do with this. I'm like, okay, just wait. Let's give them 12 hours and see. Maybe they're procrastinating. Maybe they had to work. And I'm always, so it's the nature of the beast. But then when you get through to about the sixth piece, it's flowing.
Yeah.
The connection is just there.
How many
I think it
pieces
really
do
helps
you and your
if
pen pal do?
you have the right.
You need
have
a
to
good
be committed,
match.
though, right? Like if
You
you're,
do,
if you're
and
walking into it, you need to understand.
it's an accountability program.
You are accountable because you have a partner that is waiting for you, and you have 48 hours to go back and forth. And
But you can see some people just do photography. She took a picture of her makeup that day.
that's so good.
Right?
I
Here
love
we
that
go.
one. That's yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
This was me and Daniel. He was interesting to be matched with. I hope he comes
that's
back
fantastic.
again one day. Yeah,
So what we're
I did-
talking about, is creative. This pen pal. Oh yeah.
That was I was getting sick and tired of wearing a mask. And then my
Oh,
partner
I love
responded
that.
With
with
that.
this. And I went,
Look
oh,
at the color.
God.
Okay,
and the
ladies, I have a
lines.
question.
Chills.
How do you protect? You present something to someone, you send it out there, you feel pretty good about it, and then you get something that comes back from someone else that you perceive to be way better than yours.
It happens.
Every time.
So, okay.
Every time with Shelley.
Yep.
She was
So,
amazing.
what do we do?
Shelley was amazing.
Oh,
yes.
she was so amazing. Well, first of all,
Shelley
I
Locke.
bought one of the pieces,
Okay.
right? So here, I'll bring it up for you. So
It feels like that every time.
it was
me
so
matched with
fun.
him. I was like, who is this guy?
And do you feel like that ding of like,
No, because look, it pushed me to create that, which sold.
Absolutely.
okay.
It makes you better.
And
it,
then
it
he
inspires
looked at
you.
that and went,
That's so
and I
Van
looked
Gogh.
at that and went,
oh shit,
and
okay.
and then I got a class out of this. I taught a class of 14 young girls this online during the pandemic
And so this was
because they
pulled
saw
out.
this. And then he sent me that and I went, oh,
Oh.
goodness, I can't.
Game
Right?
on.
And then I gave it to him.
Game on.
I said, that's it.
Yeah.
I give up. You won.
Yeah.
Like, look at that.
It's not a competition.
No, but you know what I mean.
I
I'm just
do,
like,
I
I'm done.
know.
You're too good.
It was brilliant. Here's the nude, so you can see the foot.
For those who are listening but
Yeah, for
cannot
those
see,
who cannot
Tanya is
see my
about to show
foot,
me.
I know.
We'll put
So
lots
the
of
over
feathers,
curvy.
the feathers that are covering up the little bits are based on a feather painting that Shelley had made.
Listeners. Well, the foot gets the most attention because it's so technically strong. I feel like, and my eyes went right to it because
That's
the,
only because
the soul wrinkle.
because they told you about the foot, but it is the soul wrinkle and the cute toes.
This is exquisite.
Thank you.
We were all like in awe. We stopped the
Yeah.
conversation, right?
That's
And we're
so
like,
funny.
first we have to talk about how brave Tanya is.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, I had just broken up with my girlfriend, and when she saw that I had done this, she said, "But you've never even sent me a nude, and now you do this?" And she wasn't impressed. And I thought,
And it's like, yeah, because
but-
this came from a celebratory.
it sure did. And I thought,
This
you know,
came from
when
a
I
different
hit
space.
70, I'll look back and go, that was one cute foot.
This is incredible. No, look at the shape. I mean, my goodness, right? Like,
Well, when you put your arms in the air, you're a little skinnier. Just a note to anybody out there.
She how many pictures did you take to get that one?
300.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least. And in different places around the house, right? Because initially I had just painted the feathers so that they look like Rhiannon's. You can look at the rest of the group of pictures from our
Yeah, Shelley was in there a couple
conversations,
times.
yeah. So Shelley had created this feather that I then wanted to copy, and it was in trying to display the feather, and I was having no luck. That's when I decided I'm just going to take off my clothes, put it on my ass, and take the picture.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you did.
I know, it's fun, eh? Yeah. So that whole
Experience.
experience was amazing.
I'm
for
so
me.
glad to hear that.
Amazing for me.
You know, I hear that from so many people. I
Yeah.
keep trying to encourage people, like, participate, but also, like, I did 22 people at one time over Christmas, not this year, but the year before, and it was a bit too much. So
That is a bit
Participation
much.
is hard for a lot
And
of
then
people.
This piece here is a collage that I wanted
that was
to
awesome
try.
too.
So that kind of reflected the way I felt about the pandemic. Just sucker punched. Just sucker punched.
So at this time, we were just putting the pictures up. Now we have write-ups about each piece underneath, because during the artist session, we were divulging so much. And I was like, I never knew that's what this was about.
Right, that's
Yeah.
the thing. You can look at
Yeah.
something and only see surface, or you can find out why you put that there and what.
Right. Well, going back to what you were saying earlier, you know, you create a piece, and, you know, you don't want to necessarily have to explain what your art
No,
means
I
to
always
someone
hide
else,
the
right?
real reasons.
Sometimes it's very personal, and either the viewer will catch that or they won't,
Yep.
or they'll see it in different ways.
If they know you, they have an idea. Okay, there's more to this.
And people will
Yeah.
ask, like, the people who are really interested will reach out and ask, oh, what can you tell me about that? And some pieces, I am an open book, and I do enjoy talking about all of the things. But, you know, when we were talking about prints and things too, again, it's a whole business side that, like, I mean,
too
you
much some
need
days.
money to make prints. Like, let's get real.
Absolutely.
And I'm currently drawing on foam board, like 20 by 30 foam board. And so to make a print of that, like, they're coming in at like $70 a print.
Yeah.
So you can see, it's like, yes, you wish to expand in some realms.
You need to figure out how to get the funding up front.
You know, and yeah, things like that. So
Some
I never
community
wanted
projects.
to. Yeah. And I think that's what the next 10 years of Heather Fraser art is going to look like.
Is this yours?
Yeah, that's going to be, so what you guys can't see is that I've posted, what you can probably see in there is a lot of penises.
Yeah.
You can see.
I don't see that, but
So look
I
at-
never see them anyway.
Yeah,
See a
so the,
Penis Village.
yeah, it's a penis mushroom woman warrior village. There's also a woman performing oral sex on an angel up at the top there.
Can you make that a little larger?
Yeah,
I
that.
can't
So
really
one of the
make
things
out.
that I've been told is that my work is overwhelming at first, but the thing that you're gonna get when you get
Oh,
one of my
yeah,
pieces
see
is
that.
that you will find things. Look, hang my art in your bathroom. Go get cozy, because I promise you, you will never see the same thing twice. You will find things in there, like, for example, in this midsection mushroom, like this, that was a study of Alderaan, Star Wars, where Luke came from. So that mushroom is designed after where he's from, but they all live inside the mushroom. And here's the snake of envy coming around the top.
Yeah.
There's penises.
Lots of penises.
Angel.
And this looks like a bum.
Yep.
I love it.
So really, I think too, what I'm celebrating now as a 44-year-old single woman is sexual permission, leaving trauma behind. That was a big part of great question, great prep interview questions, by the way, Rhiannon. They really helped me see my life.
Yeah.
And it was lovely. It was helped me do a really good inventory to see.
I really like the feedback from that too, because I say, okay, just answer these 3 for sure, and then pick 6 more.
Which is great,
Yeah,
because
see where it takes you. Did you answer the question, if you were a book, what would your title be?
yes, I did.
What was your answer to that?
I'm still here.
Oh yes, okay, I did see
which
that.
is tattooed on me.
Wow, nice and big too.
Oh, fantastic.
And what's the meaning behind that?
So I am still here on one side with my moth spirit guide in white. Not a butterfly.
white.
I'm not a butterfly. I'm a moth. They are different, significantly different. So that's one side, but the other side is a nice because I'm a dichotomy.
Sure,
as we all
absolutely.
are. Move. So you got to be rooted in who you are.
Sure.
And why I wrote I am still here is that I'm sober. I'm still here. Every day I'm waking up choosing not to drink alcohol.
Can we talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah,
So,
happy.
How did you get sober? Can you talk about that?
I can. So I started drinking at age 11, and by the time that I was choosing to get sober, I was consuming about a 26er for us Canadians, a 26er of vodka a day clear, and then whatever was on top of that. So that was my level of consumption.
Chasers of wine and whiskey and
Whatever was at my arm's reach. I had already been kicked out of Guelph University. I was studying politics. I was entering my 3rd year, and I was asked to leave because I never really went into the classrooms. I had so much anxiety. I went to the bar. So how I got sober, crashing 2 cars didn't do it. Mm-hmm. They say everybody hits a rock bottom or has like a pivotal moment or whatever. The only thing that really struck me was I watched a movie called Train Spotting. Oh. And selfishly, I'll just promote, I did a public speaking series on this on Mo Mondays, which is an oration series called I Am Still Here, where I really go into depth about this exact. So at the beginning scene of the movie Train Spotting, the main character is coming off of heroin, and he's in the local store, general store, grabbing all of the items he needs to detox. He was grabbing milk. He's going through the inventory. Milk of magnesia, 1 bottle. Aspirin. So he's prepping. Finished watching the movie. The next day, I went to the grocery store, bought what I thought I would needed, called my parents, and said, "This is it. I'm doing it, and you're not going to hear from me." And my mom and dad said, "That won't work. Can you guarantee a once a day phone call?" Like we didn't have to speak to one another. There just had to be an answering. We didn't have like the emojis. This is almost 20 years ago.
Right.
So there was no instant communication. It was like so all I had to agree to was like something.
Yeah, I'm still alive. I'm still here.
That's it.
I'm still
here.
Yeah.
And honestly, my mom said, I believe it was about 3 weeks, 21 days. I don't really remember. I remember the cold tile on the floor. I remember
you
barfing.
You went to detox by yourself all alone?
I did.
Whoa, that's ballsy.
It is and it isn't. It is and it isn't in terms of how my brain works. My brain works in all or nothings. It's not necessarily a moderate place. So for me to access people or community never even entered.
So you had never thought of seeking medical help?
Well, my parents put me in the psych ward when I was 14 because they found me drunk and passed out with their booze stash. So yeah, my parents were pretty goddamn amazing.
But were they drinkers too, or is it in the family? Around you a lot? Yeah.
Yeah, it was around.
Yeah.
It was around friends.
Yeah. See, because you say 11.
Yep.
Most severe drinkers start maybe 15 and they become severely addicted maybe 23, 24. You were way ahead of the game. That's why I asked that question.
And I needed it, and I wanted it, and I stole it. I was processing sexual abuse. And I clarify, for those who are listening, I live in a community. My mom and dad are not responsible for any of my trauma. I really want to clarify that all of the alcoholism and things related to abuse were this was outside of the home. And my mom and dad didn't know. I became a master at hiding.
Of hiding.
You do. Yeah.
Had they known, and my mom and I have since talked about this, we have an incredible relationship where we had to work through what would you have done? And my mom's like, well, I would have murdered them. So mom has done right by me. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that cause, like, my parents are great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's an important piece to clarify because you never know how this story could come across.
Well, yeah, my parents are active members of my community, and this has a wide listening audience, and I don't want anyone to think that my parents are bad people. You don't want anyone to be misconstrued.
Yeah. So going back, so there you are. I'm visualizing you.
Yeah.
You know, you're in your apartment. You're all by yourself for 21 days.
Yeah.
You know, this could not have been pretty.
It was
like
disgusting.
Physically, it must have been.
I pissed and shit and barfed all over myself all the time.
All by yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was the safest.
The safest place
for you? The safest place I could have been because I could barf freely.
Without judgment or shame.
No one was going to yell at me. How dare you vomit? Clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that. I could just get healthy.
Right. And so after 21 days, you come out of your cocoon and voila.
I never looked back. I've not had.
And so you've never looked back. You've been sober the entire time.
Yes.
Through your, like, without any type
All
of
or
like
nothing.
AA program or anything like that. You don't take meetings. You don't.
No,
you don't
I
do
looked into
anything?
the AA concept and ideology, and I extracted that which I felt to be relevant in terms of. So getting sober is one step of physicality. Go through the withdrawal.
Yeah.
Great. That was my 21 days. It was 5 years. It was 2 years before I went into a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's where the work became. So in terms of AA, no, I did not find group support to be helpful. It made me angry and it felt like a pissing contest, and I did not wish to be a part of that.
And the type of alcoholic you were is not likely to seek help. It's
What type of alcoholic am I? Am I?
Chronic severe.
Ooh.
But
Go big or go
young,
home,
yeah.
right, Heather?
9.2% of
all or
alcohol.
nothing, you see? There's no mid-road.
No.
My mom used to say, like, Heather, oh my God, like, you cut off your nose to spite your face at every turn.
The young antisocial type, which makes up 21.1% of alcoholics, according to the study I read, are most likely to seek help.
Okay.
However, you have pieces from all of them in your personality.
I just wanted to numb out.
Welcome to a Creative Wellness Haven, a collaborative approach at retreat planning to bring you quality creative wellness opportunities by utilizing the healing qualities of art expression, nature, and self-care planning. We create a safe and welcoming environment to rest and rejuvenate. Our retreats feature chef-inspired meals, lodging, and a day boat ride is included. Find your flow state, rest in nature, leave refreshed with your art pieces. Let us guide you on a path towards a more balanced life. Join us for 4 days and 3 nights of creative wellness in the Elements of Art and Nature retreat in Killarney, Ontario, this May 17th to the 20th. You can purchase tickets until March 31st. Our next mini day retreat is on Mother's Day, May 8th. Tickets are now on sale, and that takes place in Port Weller, St. Catharines, Ontario from 12:30 to 4:30 p.m. Join us online for one-to-one or group creative coaching sessions. I'm excited to learn more about you and provide you with some new creative tools for self-reflection and well-being. Join me in evaluating your habits, exploring your emotions, hurts, and joys, and let me help you find hope, implement change, and support you in becoming more intimate and open with your needs. Together, we track your progress and keep you on track to reach your happiness and success goals, beginning with using expressive arts as a tool when words aren't enough, self-reflection, revitalizations, self-love, and goal setting.
And in terms of art and stuff, like, I don't know, people are like, well, how do you take it from your your great question, Tanya, was like, well, I asked you, like, well, how big did you want to be? And you're like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm sitting in my own personal journey as an artist.
Like, you want to be Damien Hirst? Who do you want to be?
There's a big fear
right?
of rejection. There's a big fear
Huge
of failing.
rejection.
There's a big fear of imposter syndrome. There's just like this countless, and it's a dance. 2 steps forward, 6 steps back.
Totally.
14 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah.
Like, it's a constant dance.
Yeah.
And I think also there's this idea, that you really, you have to have the drive and the desire. You have to have the talent.
To be there.
You have to have the support. There's a lot of different
Support
pieces in it, but support is huge, right? How do you get into a gallery?
How do you drag all your pieces and set up at a fair in an hour and a half?
Absolutely.
Those
Like your podcast that I listened to that talked about how you came out into doing the fair right away, and I remember doing that too, and I remember thinking like, this is brutal.
I didn't paint for a year after that.
You have to have really tough skin, right?
My first fair?
Where rejection, I remember you saying that in your podcast, right? And it's also this idea of rejection. So I took a job in sales, and I remember, the first 6 months, because I was doing cold calling, and I was in tears.
Brutal.
In tears. It was so brutal. And my mom said to me, well, if you don't like it, just quit. And I said, well, I really can't, because the company has invested a lot of time and effort into me, and I've met with everybody in the company, and they've all showed me their jobs, and I feel that I at least owe them that. So I had to figure out a way to deal with
They train you
rejection.
to think that way in certain corporate, I could go on, but corporate environments. Like, I've been in a corporate environment where it's like, it's almost like ingrained in you from when you start that you owe them something because they're training you.
I'm hoping that COVID has at least put a bug into the people who are like, what, go fuck
If
yourself.
this isn't right for you
I
and
think
it's not a
there
right
has,
fit.
like that great resignation
so.
that they talk
There's
about,
some.
people leaving it. In my particular case, though, I just decided that I really I needed to toughen up because I wanted to succeed.
You wanted to get good at it.
I wanted to be good at it, and I needed to figure out a way around this. So in this particular case, it was very simple that I could look at it and say, this rejection, they're not rejecting me, Tanya, as a person. They're rejecting the idea of changing the status quo, or in other words, changing, the service or the company that they're using with to come to me. And once I could establish that it wasn't me personally, because I'm awesome, it was the fear of change, right? Because we all make our decisions based on either fear or love, right? If you make your decision based from a position of love, you'll always make the right decision, I think.
It's about ego.
I might be
right?
changing my mind on that. I'm not sure anymore. Or fear, where chances are you're not making the right decision because you're so afraid. But when it came to me personally, artistically, well, that rejection became very personal.
Very personal.
And that was very difficult to say. No, they're not rejecting you, Tanya. They're just rejecting your talent, and your talent is you. So, that became a completely different
Yeah, so you have to separate my talent as this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do, though. It's so complex. I know one thing for sure is when I talk about rec-based therapeutic art activities, funders have a hard time understanding what I'm talking about. And the boxes that they give me to fill don't necessarily describe what I do. So they're like, okay, here's an art grant, here's a social work grant, and I wish they were more that were kind of melded together for me.
That's coming. I think that's coming.
There's a few out there that I've been able to access, but a lot of times it's like, even I filled one out for Hamilton Arts Week last week, and I just found myself like, there's no box. There's no way of describe, like the questions you're asking me don't describe what I want to present.
So then you're going to write.
Yeah, so I wrote it in there anyway. And you send them
that as well, right? I guess, yeah, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you did that.
That's the only way you can incite any type of change is by, checking the other box, filling it in, and they see there's a need for that change.
That's what I've been doing. That's how I've been kind of making baby steps.
Yeah.
But with art, it's the same thing. Like some people will look at it, they're not going to understand it, right? It's not for that application or that exhibit.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a big, I was talking to a friend artist about commissions, and do we like them?
No.
And it's like, yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, I'm getting paid but like, oh my God, I got to crawl in the pressure is different. The deadline is different. That person is trusting you to exact their vision
What's
in your
their
own
head.
style,
or maybe not.
Right?
Maybe they just think you're a good artist and you can do all styles.
Or like, and how within that.
Here's the money, just do whatever you want.
Right, and so I did a recent piece, and I had to dialogue with the person. I'm like, yo, listen up. You don't get to tweak this anymore. I have, because we were doing like the prototype, right? And could you, and I'm like, yo, stop so I'm learning from a business contractual standpoint.
Yep. Contracts.
How many pre-edits does the person get? Mm-hmm. How much say so? All those things.
And how come there isn't somebody doing, that's sort of like what me and my sister had started doing with artist pathfinding series, and we're continuing to do certain like little pockets of, but one of the things I really like, things like this, we need it in the artist community. We need an organization to step up and be like, we're doing this workshop this month and we're doing this workshop this month. And what do you guys need to know? Like,
I'm hoping that'll come.
Mentors for
we
the
need an art
business
council.
It kind of similar like musicians, right? Now they're going to school and they're taking management courses so that they're not getting screwed over by managers and losing all that money.
Yeah.
But so many of them would just go out, write the songs and perform. Yep. And they made no money. They lost everything. So artists need the same thing.
But there's division even within the community
as well. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, absolutely. The business of art, right?
Yeah, business of art, yeah.
For me, my art comes from an emotion.
Yeah, mine too.
First.
Mine
I can't help it. It just does.
I can't paint unless I'm in
the mood. And that's why
you
describe yourself as an intuitive artist, right?
Yeah, because I never know what I'm starting with. So nothing that you see here or anything of mine is a plan. Mm-hmm. I've never had a plan.
This was the one commission I've ever done.
I love that.
And I was crying and at one point raging.
Why?
Because I
it wasn't
felt like
good
I
enough?
couldn't finish it.
You couldn't finish it.
And I was like, it's not what he's going to want. It's not what he's going to like. And when I gave it to him, he was like, I love it.
I love that.
Well, how did that commission work for you? So did
I
they just
ended
say,
up giving it to him, and he shoved money in my pocket because I wanted it far away from me.
So you were not even able to assign worth to it?
No, it was worthless to me after that.
Oh,
because it didn't bring me peace.
Oh,
yeah.
Would you have approached the
So
Rhiannon today?
I will never take one on again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's too tough.
So you need something that's
even looking at it and going, okay, I'm satisfied with the image. The experience was too much.
Tough.
It wasn't worth it.
It's hard.
So you need to have something either that comes of your own volition, something that you're inspired by, or your own intuition, that you create it as you see fit, and then you bring it to market.
Yep.
You don't want somebody to say, I want you to create something for me, and it can be anything you like. Is that the way he did it?
Well, because a lot of times when
or
people...
did he say specifically, I would like a beautiful
No.
Fish painting?
He wanted a sign for his fish room of this fish.
And he's
a huge fish guy.
And that was all the guidance.
And he's very supportive of me and he believed in me to produce it. But that's all over here.
Mm-hmm.
The experience is...
It's
Right,
icky.
is getting to
That's
that.
fair. But on the other side of that, though,
Oh,
Rhiannon...
icky as in fish ick? Just a little pun thrown in there? Sorry.
Is on the other side of that is getting to tell great stories and being a part of great stories. For example, I was able to do a commission to tell a lesbian love story, how they met. Now, they had a list of elements that they wanted inside of the piece. For example, the ex-husband had hired a private investigator and was following them. So she wanted me to put in the piece, could you show where the private investigator, so I put a little guy up in a tree. And they wanted to explore their love of outdoor camp. That made it easier because I had better direction.
Yeah.
They chose, I'm like, tell me your palette, your size. I call them fixed elements, things you want in the piece. And then what is up to me? Is the font up to me? And through that dialogue, I got to tell one of the most beautiful stories. And that exchange, they were art appreciators. It was name your price. We know that. And it just went so perfectly.
Yeah.
Still pressure for deadline, but
Yeah.
not all commission exchanges are icky and wretched.
Yeah.
Some of them are so wide open.
I tried something kind of similar this summer, and I also had a bad experience. I just think it's not for me.
Then you know
And
that,
that's totally
and that's okay
fair.
too. Yep.
Yeah,
I am
absolutely.
not. Yeah,
because
I'm not a
not
fair
everybody
goer.
Thinking of it, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
it gets you all, yeah.
Then it's not.
Yeah.
Then it's not.
I think it's so important to know who you are and what
Do
you
you guys want
enjoy
water? I
doing,
brought water.
right? What
got
you,
coffee?
if you establish that that's not my bag, I'm not comfortable in that milieu, then don't do it.
I love outsourcing, so I've outsourced now mat cutters.
Oh.
I couldn't cut a straight line. Look, now ask me to do a proper 90-degree angle or whatever. No, it's not happening. So
That
I've
was a
outsourced.
prerequisite to this podcast, wasn't it? The 90-degree
Right? I snuck
I don't
in,
even
Tanya.
cut
I snuck
mats.
in.
I thought I heard that, Heather. Yeah.
You're hilarious. I like you.
I have one friend who I know cuts her own mats.
Yeah, you can't do it. Because I did, you were talking about that a little bit, about, what I wish I would have known about the management side or the business side and all of that.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of it comes as a surprise down the road, and you go, oh, I guess I need to know about this.
Yep.
And
But I would feel
Yeah.
guilt. So the difference between pre-COVID and now is pre-COVID, insecure Heather thought in order to be a valued artist, I must master all the skill sets from start to finish. I must stretch canvas, build canvas, mat.
I've
And I'm
never
like, that's
stretched a canvas.
bullshit. That's
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
Literally that. So
In this day and age,
yeah, I will outsource accordingly. If there are skills I wish to acquire, I'm going to allow myself to learn. I never wanted to learn, right? I never wanted to learn. My brain said
but you're coming from,
fear-based.
well, also you said you were diagnosed, or you were labeled a genius, young, skipped classes. So like you're coming from a different mindset.
Well, I think my brain, we all have unique and individual brains, of course, but I'm really starting to see where my brain is differentiated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of variables that determine my daily course of action. If I'm
Self-taught is probably better than sitting in a classroom for you.
if I could wear noise-canceling headphones the way that I did in university, I'm okay. They would cancel out up to 90 decibels, and I would wear those as an EA. With being an educational assistant, working with our most vulnerable kids with a whole host of disorders, as I was putting on the vest or the weighted whatever, I was like, I need that too.
Isn't that funny?
I need it. And I started, and if for the kids who were hesitant to try new things, I would be like the model. I would do it first. And I really was like, that was the beginning of recognizing that my number one, why am I always seeming to have the best results with autistic, nonverbal, high behavioral young boys? Why am I resonating so well? Why am I getting such good results? Why are we blowing up in their skill sets? It's because I spoke the same language. It's a language.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy to learn. You see how impatient we get when things are different? You fill out paperwork and you better say it this way.
Yeah.
Well, think about how many people that excludes, not even like English as a not first. Like, let's take out even like English. Now what if your brain literally cops out at a paragraph larger than 15 words?
Yeah, and that's tough.
Think about any document you have to look at. Now think about filling in a resume as an adult.
How long does that take? I know I worked as a social worker and I had to sit with people and fill in forms.
Yeah, and
often.
think about that person now. Not only do they feel shameful that they needed assistance.
You have to learn how to that's part of the job.
Yep, they're overwhelmed in that environment. You're asking personal questions. The brain fog comes in, the excitability, all of those things. So emotional regulation. I took all of the labels that the people dumped and had the cognitive ability to say what works and what doesn't. Yeah. And thank God for Google.
And those labels are just another language in itself.
That's it. And they're always changing, right? Like, so I just revisited the DSM-5. And even, so we used to call things, we used to call it multiple personality disorder. That's no longer. It's dissociative identity, right? And even within that framework, there's little, and, I have such a
Or even manic depressive.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, bipolar.
Yeah.
Rapid cycle versus, all of these
some of those labels still stick.
Yep, some of them do. Some of them don't. And what's the value of a label? I don't know. I'm learning about labels in art, for example. I might have a better chance to sell my print if I self-identify as an emerging artist. Yeah. What's the lingo in the business?
I was going to bring that up, actually. So what do you feel like? Okay, so it's a two-parter. And I wrote this down because I actually wanted to bring it up with both of you. So first is, what is an emerging artist? And how does an artist emerge?
Those are great questions. Do you want to take it? Because I feel like I could go.
I'm thinking about number two. No, you take it. Yeah, number two. Question two is tough.
I was educated, so I guess there is I don't remember the resource, but there are criteria by which you define professional, emerging, novice, and hobby.
Yep.
So I identified as an emerging artist because I had shown artworks in, I'm going to use the word legitimate, galleries, X number of times, expanding the media in which I used. So not just illustration, but now getting into print work or clay or other media. And how am I emerging? I'm emerging because I'm putting myself out to the world without giving a fuck about what comes back. And if that isn't butterfly emergence, well, I don't know what is. So that's my take on that. I don't give a shit anymore.
That's so powerful.
I got so poo-pooed on by the people I thought that mattered, and I'm still drawing anyway. So...
And what's your preference of art? You know what I mean? Like, why should you base, if you are emerging or professional, based on somebody else's version of what art's supposed to be?
Yeah, and how can I interpret a never-changing market? You know, there's these kids these days, these young men I'm following. One of them is, forgive me, Chris, art 4x6. He just won. He won a Niagara Falls award. His work is very Basquiat.
I think I follow him as well.
Okay, so like these young guys that are the come-ups.
Yeah. They're telling us what's next.
Yes, they are the leaders. They're saying, don't be afraid of what this means. Go. And so if these young devil may care, and I'm going, wait a minute, but I have experience. No, I'm just not buying into what I'm telling myself anymore.
Well, here's the thing.
We're our worst enemies, really, and we create this narrative in our heads.
Yeah, it's just bullshit.
Or I'm not worthy, or as you
mine
were
isn't
talking
good
about,
enough.
No, that's your brain,
that
right?
Imposter syndrome and all of that, right?
Yeah, challenge that.
Absolutely, and really, the
and
art
haters
has to be
are gonna hate.
Thank you, Tay. Yeah, exactly. They are. And we cannot change our art based on what, the market is now saying only purple art is pretty.
Yeah, no.
I don't like purple. I want to, it has to be intrinsically what you buy into, what you believe, what moves you.
And that's not to say you don't want to try new skill sets either, right? But
digital art is
what I'll
great.
come back to.
With different mediums. That's why I desperately wanted to try collage. I thought that was fantastic. And
collage is big right now, too.
It's huge. I cannot, it's like all of a sudden during the pandemic, I tried the collage during your program. And then when things opened up between one of the, dreadful lockdowns, there was a little art festival in Toronto in a park. And I went and I was just so happy. I was so happy to be out amongst art. And there must have been at least 30% of the tents collage work. And I thought, what's going on? And I talked to one of the artists and I said, is there something in there? Yeah, there is something going on.
I think it's accessible.
Yeah. Have you seen Canva, this new... They
Yeah.
had a little course at Mac that I popped in over a lunchtime to take a look at. You can do collage all on your computer now.
Yeah.
You don't even have to cut and
Well,
paste.
like my son does digital art. He does different forms of it. He does some animations and things like that.
He's good.
He's good for, but you know what's amazing? Okay, so his art form, his most popular art form is he takes animated movies, like from Japan.
Okay.
He festers and thinks and whatnot. And he listens to a lot of new music. He turns me on to new music constantly. But a song will sort of tell him a story. You know when you have those songs that you're like, I could picture making a video to this, like a music video. I know what the music video,
My
even if
life
you've already
has a
seen the
background.
music video, right? He takes these animated videos and splices and cuts them all up and makes what he thinks the animated music video should
Wow,
be.
what a gift.
And he's got like over 100,000 views on some of these videos.
Amazing.
So that's the new definition of worth in the artistic realm is clicks and views.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. He's
but I'm
excited
also
about it.
wary of, because we've just kind of shifted that into like, so I'm seeing some of the young people, they're like, oh, I only have, so my nephew's a
Yeah, you can't
game
gauge
streamer or something. And he's like, oh, like he's kind of down on himself because he's not getting that many likes or hits or whatever. So I'm cautious of just, it's like that's just the new like money, right? And so like, yeah, 100,000 views.
None of his is,
yeah.
he can't monetize
He
any
can't
of it because he
monetize?
uses other people's music.
Right.
Yeah,
So
so
all
he
you
promotes.
So do you want to know how to get
other
around that?
people's
I'll tell you how to
music.
get around that right now. And it's not even a loophole. It's legal. Buy a SOCAN license. It's $150 for like
That'll
the year.
have to be his next thing.
Get him that for a gift.
Yeah. That's a
Ooh.
good
Is he
idea.
listening?
Please edit that part out.
I know.
So he
I'm like,
doesn't know.
surprise.
Surprise.
But
I
because with
edited
that
out.
licensing,
Is that
good
how
to
you
go.
get around it? You just
Yeah,
buy
you pay a
little-
SOCAN fee every time.
yeah.
I've always thought SOCAN was just Canada based.
So it's a database. So, but you're based in Canada, so that it's just that the governing body that doesn't limit you to Canadian content.
Okay.
Yeah.
So global.
Yep.
Can you talk about NFTs a bit? Do you buy into that? What's your opinion?
I think that NFTs are a freight train. And I'm excited to wait and see. Do I understand it? I do, because I started with step one, Google, what is blockchain? And then I learned about that. So the concept of what an NFT is, non-fungible token, I understand. I think it has merit. And I think as we watch Ukraine and Russia and potential for third world catastrophic engagement, like legit, paper currency is a joke. And it will be gone, I believe, in the next 50 years, to assume that we will live in a paper society and to not explore digital currencies when we already see there's a young kid on YouTube who just funded the physical purchase of a Tesla vehicle with NFT currency. So it's already happening that non-money is translating into tangible purchases. So you can't deny that. That's there. In terms of myself being an artist who wants to get on it, I've thought about it, but I need to understand more. And I would really like to engage in a dialogue with some young people who are fearless and are just putting their stuff out there, because NFT is a digital ledger. And so if you purchase this, well, you don't hold this. You hold the file of this.
Yeah.
And then every transaction thereafter is digitally logged onto the end of the blockchain. And so it has a digital history that comes with the piece. And so that's what's affecting buying and selling, the value of said piece. So I have a lot to learn. Do I think it's going away? No, absolutely
No, I
not.
don't think it's
Absolutely
gonna go
not.
away
It's
either.
Pandora's
No.
box that is wide open. And I think the people who will lose out are the people who are afraid, much like many other things. So I don't know how that'll age, if that'll age poorly. But from what I'm seeing of the younger set, like, I'm not going to look to my older people to see what's what. I got to look to the up, because they're just exploding in
I've
this
looked
new
into
language.
a few different
And what do you take away
platforms.
from it?
I think a few people are making money at it, not a lot. And I think that there are, just like everything else, all sorts of services popping up going, we'll get you started. Sign on for us and we'll take 5 cents of every blah, blah, blah. You got to really be careful.
It's too
And
new.
again, I wish somebody that was an established arts and trusted organization in Niagara would step up and offer these workshops for the artists.
That's coming. I think that's coming with I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but all of this hype around Niagara Falls Arts and Culture, our new artist hub that's
maybe
in
it'll
physical
come there.
construction.
We really do need some guidance and some.
I think it's coming. I'm very hopeful. And I very much think, Rhiannon, that with your skill sets and the finger reach that you're having in community, stay hopeful in the next 5 years, because
I'm hopeful.
it's coming. It's coming.
I hope so. I've always said we need a mentorship program, and I see Soil Arts Fest has their residency, so I was like, wow, okay, good, but we need more mentorships. We need more of a mentorship program. We need how to file your taxes as an artist. We need, there's certain things that I just feel like are no-brainers, and we've got so many self-taught artists in the region.
But look at the bigger picture, which is what you already said, which is funding.
Yeah,
right?
funding.
So funding is a priority for your government.
Right.
So in our local government of Niagara Falls proper, not St. Catharines, but Niagara Falls proper, arts and culture?
Yeah.
That's the
We're
first
paying
place
for
where the
lights
money
on-
is, the budget is cut.
Yeah.
So that's where we
because
need
The
they
funding
don't
for
see the
culture is going
value.
down to Clifton Hill area. And,
To Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Yeah, right.
Right.
I want to
Let's talk-
ask, though,
sorry.
about this idea, though, of mentorship, though. Who is really stepping up to become the mentor, right? Are there, is it, are
There's
you
a
finding
pocket. There's a small pocket right now, and they're trying to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did look into them because I was like, okay, this is great. Like they're doing residencies,
But
and
there's
you get
a lot of
mentorship in that.
What I'm observing is that the mentorships are coming through aged white men and women of techniques that don't interest
Old
me
school
whatsoever. I'm not interested
Yeah.
in plein air or
Okay, so look into the in the soil one. I think they're doing something called Green Room too. They're doing artist
things
chats.
like in the soil that are perhaps
A little bit more progressive, I guess.
Yeah, maybe a little more inclusive. Not saying that the masters, like those skill sets don't have value. That's not what I'm saying. Just maybe a broader picture.
I feel the same way. I don't, for me personally, I have an unpopular opinion of fine art in that if I wanted a piece, I would just take a photograph of that if I wanted it to be so exact. But I can't say that doesn't spectacularly impress me when somebody can replicate.
Sure, but it doesn't spark. You don't want it in your wall.
No.
And that's okay.
Not
I'd rather have the
necessarily,
photograph.
what
Sure.
you want.
And I guess that's the magic, but like I want to pull from the people who've had the experience and can share their insight without judging me. I've asked artists, that's another thing, and I'm sure it happens in the musicians community and all of the arts. There's an echelon of people who see being asked about their craft as an opportunity to share and grow. But there's also a group of people or artists that, because their work possibly is so personal, I've asked to, oh, I see how that acrylic blended with that oil and created this. How did you do that? Oh, that's my trade secret. I can't let it out of the bag. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm not recreating your work. I'm asking for a skill set so that I could, and you would have thought I was asking for a kidney. So
I think that also goes back to, personal mentality and all that.
sure.
But it also, like, do you know how many times I get asked to do stuff for free?
All the time, I bet.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's a greediness.
Will you
that
help me
comes
write a
with it,
grant?
though.
Oh, well, that's like 15, 20 hours.
And that's somebody's actual job. Like, that's a real job.
Yeah,
is a
I'm like,
job,
well, can you pay me 4%? Let's make a deal. And it's like, well, at this time, we don't want to pay, and we don't feel our organization is, we want volunteers. It's like, okay, well, then you're going to get the volunteer that's in their late career, who's got that older set mentality. I'm going to say higher percentage of probability that you're going to get that than somebody who's going to, for instance, say, like, let's pull in a speaker from Toronto on NFTs.
Yep.
I wanted to touch on this pandemic a little bit, because I love what you said. I've talked to some folks who have said, yeah, the pandemic was great for me. In your case, it was a bit of, you felt a little bit of validation, it sounds like to me anyways, that finally people are sort of getting what I'm going through. But one of the things that I found throughout the pandemic, in intense loneliness, it was so brutal for me. Living alone, it was just like I made bad decisions, and I'm not proud of them, but I did. But one of the things that I loved was I learned so many different things via my lovely trusted computer. So when you talk about skill sets that you want to develop, I'm finding that thanks to the pandemic and Zoom, a whole world.
That's true.
I'm taking
There was-
university
there was-
online right now.
Absolutely,
amazing.
yeah. I am taking courses online as well. The Luminato was canceled, and there was a French dance troupe out of Montreal that were having a big performance. And so instead of having the big flash mob that they were going to audition everybody, they opened it up to everybody. So you had 2 weeks, anybody could do it, and they had practices at noon and at 6 p.m. Noon was English, 6 p.m. was French. I speak French. I did both of them. Every day for 2 weeks, moved the furniture in the living room, practiced all my dance moves. There were people from all over the world partaking. And then on a set date, we all got dressed up. We put our cameras on. We did the dance. They put a collage together. Unfortunately for me, on said dance day, my hair was perfect, the makeup, the dress. Couldn't remember a single dance move.
Oh, no.
It was abysmal. But never in a million years would I have attempted to dance. I have
okay.
2 left feet. I can't sing, none of that. But what a joy it was to be able to try something so
awesome.
different.
I think
and
we
that was a
should
gift of the
do-
pandemic.
That's great.
Yeah, and
That's
I
real
great.
gift.
That's great.
We should do a whole episode on what we learned during the pandemic.
Oh my God.
Things we
Sure.
tried
Yeah.
during the pandemic.
And I mean, it's still here, right? So
Oh, yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
I mean, we talk
Oh,
about it in the past.
It's finished.
It's really not.
Tears.
I'm feeling the backlash.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, and Heather, I want to say, come on again anytime, because there's so much more that we can chat
We
about.
didn't even talk about your new show.
Oh,
Can I give a quick?
let's
I mean,
do a
that's,
quick.
that's
plug.
a quick.
You can do a
Thanks.
quick plug, and then I want to do a quick little fun game.
Awesome. Okay, so sit tight. So the time frame has yet to be worked out, but I have drawn a series of 10 large erotic works that celebrate all-inclusive exploration, deals with isolation, mental health, basically how somebody starts from a pandemic and comes out clean on the other side, if you will. And the evening that I'm hoping to create is a kink-friendly, light BDSM adult lounge. The show is titled Suspended Logic, an ongoing sensory release, because that's how I roll in this world, sensory based. So stay tuned for more, but it's my first solo exhibit, and I'm ecstatic. So
I'm excited.
So you're emerging.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
thank you.
That's great.
Yep. Emerging.
Have you got a date yet?
It's tentative because it keeps getting pushed as we discuss things we want. And
Do you know venue?
yes, venue is High Q, the Niagara Herbalist, Cannabis, Lake Street, St. Catharines.
Yeah,
Great
I
venue.
know that venue.
Great venue. Really excited. Basically, just imagine rolling up, dressed as however you want, stepping into a space that has deep bass music with maybe a server with a platter of mango and papaya. Perhaps a male with wings and a mask in a bird cage. And I'll leave it at that.
Exciting. Don't forget to send me an invite.
It's all the people.
Everybody's invited.
All the people. Yep, everybody's invited.
Excited.
That sounds interesting.
Okay, we got a game? We got a game
yep.
here, Rhiannon? What are we
So
playing?
just from what I've seen so far, I just wanted to say that whatever you've been hiding that you haven't been showing on social media, I'm eager to see, because from what I've seen so far, I'm like loving the new stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so this game is called Origin of Colors.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's all about paint colors and where they originated from.
Oh, shit.
Oh, dear.
I don't know. It's
Oh,
going to get
dear.
academic.
Oh, yeah.
Rhiannon, come
Did
on.
we agree to this?
Yep.
Is there a color called antelope fire mist?
Fire mist.
Oh, my goodness.
There should be.
I want to be the
You need
person
to
who
write to
sit-
Beam Paints and tell them that name.
I want to be the one who sits in the room and says, like, no, this color is antelope fire mist.
Yes. I would just name all my colors based on food.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
Okay.
Already sweating.
It's not hard. Okay, sepia. We all
India?
know
Sepia.
sepia, which is like our printer ink color.
Yeah.
India?
Is the dye found
Oh,
in?
Oh, it's going to be A, B, or C.
Yeah,
Excellent.
A, B, or
okay.
C.
Okay. When in
It's
doubt.
sourced from A, cuttlefish, B, a snail, or D, an octopus.
Oh.
Oh.
I think my first guess was B, but B or C. I'm gonna roll B.
I
why
always
not?
say C.
What
I
else?
didn't actually think it was any of those three, so I'm so wrong.
It
A.
is a ink dye found in an ink sac in the cuttlefish.
In the cuttlefish.
Oh,
Is that C?
that's
It's
A.
A.
We,
Oh,
bo-
I
we
switched
both
to
lose.
A. Right, we
Yeah.
both lose.
Meh, meh, meh.
Okay.
This is fun.
Kermes is a species of scale insect that produces a red dye. It was a tribute to Roman armies and accepted as payment for what in the Middle Ages?
Sex.
Sex is incorrect.
It's
However, that would have
incorrect?
been cool.
Protection,
No,
Armor.
no,
taxes,
close.
Potatoes.
land allotment.
Rent.
Oh! We were done there. Another 5 minutes, we would have had rent. It was a housing
These are
crisis
great.
even back then.
Yeah,
All right.
there certainly was. Yeah. Okay, so which spice is used to dye Tibetan Buddhist monks' robes?
Saffron.
Turmeric.
Turmeric. Got it. Okay.
And I only know that I guessed that because I just stained. Oh, I just stained my
turmeric.
countertop.
You can't get it out. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see.
Were there prizes, by the way?
Which color
Donuts?
of paint was made from feeding cows mangoes and collecting their urine and is now banned? A banned practice. What color was made from doing that?
What color was made from
Peach?
doing that?
No.
Sorry, what did they feed? What did they feed?
They fed cows mangoes and collected the urine. It's now a banned practice,
Yellow?
considered.
It would have to be something sort of yellow. It's not an
Yellow?
ochre. That would come from the ground, right?
Mango. Well, what?
Mango's kind of orange.
But what it happens in the? I mean, cows have like 7 guts. I don't know. Green. Vermilion.
You're overthinking. For sure. It's yellow.
Are you surprised that you asked me that and I'm overthinking? Like, of course.
Fluorescent yellow, Indian yellow.
I think that was
okay.
a trick question. And I was just thinking,
so.
wasn't it Andy Warhol who used to get his boyfriends to, give him, like, eat certain foods and collect the urine and then put it on paintings?
Really?
Yeah, he would put it on paintings.
I've done that with menstrual blood.
Oh, no.
Yeah, for sure, I can see that.
Yeah.
Jackson Pollock used to flip, his cigarette butts into his paint. If you look at a Pollock painting, you'll see cigarette butts, beer caps.
That's awesome. I
Fantastic.
love it.
Do we lose our artist cards now? Or,
No.
Yeah.
This one is
This
redeeming.
is not going as, cheeky, awesome.
But it's
as
fun, though.
Well, yeah.
This one will redeem you.
Oh,
Okay.
really? Oh,
Hugh-
God, now look, the pressure. What if we don't get it?
A hue produced that's invalid now, that was produced in the 17th century by layering cow and horse manure over lead and vinegar, sealed for 3 months to produce flakes of what color? And it also is known to lead to lead poisoning.
Mercury.
Delightful.
That
What color?
silver.
No, you said it before, though. It was an answer you gave to another one.
Vermilion?
White.
White.
There you go. So that's my little.
You got one. I got 0.
That
You didn't
was
get any. You didn't get the
awesome.
cow pea one.
I didn't get the cat. I did say yellow, then switched to orange.
That's fun. Oh, I like those.
Yeah.
Those
So-
are really interesting.
So that was just because, we were talking a lot about like the evolution of art, and I had a couple quizzes prepared, but I thought, you know what, this one kind of goes with it. Like art is always evolving.
Yeah.
And
True.
look how interesting it is with how much it caused death. Like you
Blindness and-
blindness. Yeah.
All that lead,
Yeah.
arsenic.
And I thought it was Monet then who, when he went blind, no, I'm sorry, it was Matisse who went blind and then went to collage, right? After, when he couldn't paint anymore?
I'm not sure.
Art history and I are not friends.
Not friends. Okay. I'll go
It's
back.
interesting. History is interesting.
Yeah, but I remember thinking, I think it was Matisse who basically his vision went bad, so he couldn't really paint anymore, and so just started doing paper cutouts, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Tanya, what new thing will you put your hands in next? Can I tell you what I'm going to do next?
Yes, tell me.
I'm learning, I found a online belly dancing called Shimmy.
Oh, belly dancing is
And I'm
so
going to do it at home by
fun.
myself because I
So
can.
fun.
And
That's good.
because I have no rhythm. So I'm going to learn like the basic. I'm learning
Oh,
the
so
shoulder
it's
drop
all
and
in
the
the
hip. Yeah, well, that's
hips.
where all the problem.
It's
so
good for you.
So what are you, I bring it to you girls.
I start a new semester in May, and I'm learning about psychology and drugs. So I'm eager to learn more about
That's
psychedelics
interesting.
and things
Awesome.
in that course.
When you wish to have
Psychedelics
an
are big now.
I've been a member of this Portland society for like years. Apparently, it was legal in Portland for a
do you
while.
dose?
No, I'm learning about becoming a host. So at some point, I'm going to have to go. That's why I might go to Portland and actually experience the whole thing with people I'm familiar
Yeah.
with. Because I think if you're going to be a guide at some point, you need to experience it. Well, not at some point. You definitely need to experience
And
it.
you
Yeah.
damn well need to bring the science.
I've
behind
done
you.
mushrooms before,
Well, there is
for
a
fun, but
huge
it's a
move for
completely
that
different.
To be now used in a medicinal.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
it's
been proven
approved.
to reduce depression 100%.
yeah.
Well, treatment resistant depression.
Yeah, treatment resistant,
particularly
that's important.
lithium resistant, severe. So the ones that they would have like gone into the brain to do the deep electrode stimulation is having the best results with the microdosing. But here's the thing too: be careful, because I thought I was microdosing. And when I talked to somebody with more knowledge than myself, I realized I was like tenfold dosing.
Yeah, it's very minute amounts.
And even down to like, what capsules did you order? From where?
Yeah,
what is
from
the
where and
ingredient
who?
of the
Because again,
capsule?
it's same thing
This
as
is
all other
chemical
areas.
science.
Yeah,
One little hook on the chain, and you have 100% different response.
a lot of people
So-
will prepare their area. Like I've got my bedroom, my blankets, I got this and that ready. But really, I feel like your first experiences should be with a guide.
I agree.
I never had that.
Yeah.
I had it with friends.
Yeah, I did a lot of
Safe
mushrooms. Well, not a lot, but
people.
I did mushrooms as a teenager and in my early 20s with like my sisters and whatnot. But I did way too much. Like way too much.
I found that my best friend and I, we experience the same dose 100% different. So I do not get the
Yeah.
necessarily the visual aspects.
That's what I'm eager to learn about is, you know, more. I need more information on that if I'm to include it later on.
Yeah, I think that's a great
And I need a lot
Yeah.
more experiences. I'm not going to jump into
the
it.
source of the product that you're using, right?
Yep.
That's going to be.
I think it's going to be legal in Canada to use in practice
For
eventually,
sure.
but
5
you're going to
years.
need, okay, yeah. And you're going to need like a certification as a psychotherapist or something along those lines to
Yeah.
administer it.
And I
Yep.
think that's fair. I think that should exist.
And I think
right?
if you see people popping up with it at wellness retreats, beware.
I generally follow the get high on my own supply.
Yeah.
I will bring my own to the party.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I don't necessarily trust my hosts. It's that
You don't know.
I've seen hosts who don't know
who don't know
what they have. And that's not their fault either. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know. But I know. And it's my body. So I'm going to make damn sure I know what's going in it.
I
Right?
recently got a little bit of a sponsorship co-marketing thing with a oil company, and they sent me some lavender sleep oil, CBD lavender sleep oil. I
Have
really
you tried
like.
it?
Yeah, I really like it.
It's
Do you have
working.
trouble sleeping?
When
Not
I'm studying,
anymore.
when I'm not now.
It's perfect.
When I'm studying, I do.
Do you?
Oh yeah. If I have an exam coming up, there's no chance. I have Calm on. I've drank my tea. I'm, everything. Yeah.
Amazing.
But
I
other
can
than
sleep
that, I
anywhere,
get pretty good
anytime. I'm
sleep.
so blessed. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna end this thing here, and we're gonna say goodbye to Heather. But welcome to come back at any time to discuss any pieces that maybe we overlooked today or didn't
That's
get deep
amazing.
enough into. And thank you so much, Tanya, for joining us as our co-host today. And
was
hope you
fun.
come back as well.
Oh, I hope
Thanks
I'm
for having
invited.
Yeah. Thanks, Tanya. It was great to meet you.
It's nice to
Thanks,
meet you
Rhiannon,
too. I
for
You're welcome.
continuing your work in the community.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love what I'm doing, and I'm gonna stay on my path.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Stay the course, eh?
Stay the course. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
If you'd like to be a guest, please reach out, and I will send you our preliminary questions to get started. If you'd like to be a special guest co-host, please reach out to me directly.